I've been thinking about the story of Good Friday, what happened to Jesus that day. And I thought to remind me, I'd try thinking about the colours that reminded me of the things that happened that day. So if you want to join in with me, you need to find something with lots of colours. So maybe a box of Lego would be a good idea. Or you could have Duplo, or just wooden bricks if you've got some coloured wooden bricks, or just some felt pens and a piece of paper. And then we can talk about the colours of Good Friday. So on Thursday night, Jesus was praying in the Garden of Gethsemane with his friends. And then in the morning, some people arrived to arrest him. And at 4 o'clock in the morning, he was taken to the house of Caiaphas, the high priest, where he was tried in front of Caiaphas. And the council were very angry with Jesus, and they said they wanted him to be put to death. Now, one of Jesus' friends, Peter, had followed him and was in the courtyard of Caiaphas' house, standing by the fire, trying to find out what had happened. So to remind us of that first bit of the story, we need a colour for fire. So have a look in your Lego or your coloured pens or whatever else you have and see if you can find a colour for fire. So I thought I'd start with yellow. So I've got a little Lego base here. I'm putting yellow on for the fire. And then at 6 o'clock, Jesus was taken from the high priest's house, from Caiaphas' house, to Pilate, the Roman governor, to be tried by the Roman governor. Now, the Roman governor couldn't understand why everybody was so angry with Jesus and didn't think that he'd done anything wrong. So the Roman governor said, to show I am innocent of Jesus' blood, I'm going to wash my hands. And that means I'm innocent. But he gave Jesus to be crucified anyway. So can you find something that looks the colour of water for washing hands? I found a grey brick. So I've got the yellow for the fire and the grey for the water. So that's the first two colours of Good Friday. Now at 8 o'clock, Jesus has to carry his own wooden cross up the hill outside Jerusalem. But he's weak and he falls, and somebody called Simon of Cyrene has to help him carry the cross. So the next colour we want is the colour of wood. So I've got a brown brick here that I'm going to add for the colour of the cross that Jesus was carrying up the hill. So we've got the fire and the water and the cross so far. So at 9 o'clock, Jesus was nailed to the wooden cross. He'd been whipped and he had a crown of thorns pushed down on his head. So he was bleeding. So the next colour we need is the colour of blood. So I've got some red for the colour of blood of Jesus on the cross. Now while Jesus is hanging on the cross, the soldiers are sharing out his clothes, deciding who can have which piece of cloth by throwing a dice. So the next colour we need is a colour of the cloth of Jesus' clothes. So I've just chosen a beigey colour brick here, but you can decide what colour you think Jesus' clothes were. So I'm going to add my beige. So we've got the colour of the fire, colour of water washing hands, we've got the colour of the cross, the colour of blood, and the colour of Jesus' clothes. Now the soldiers start to mock Jesus, and they say, if you're the Son of God, why don't you come down from that cross? And we know Jesus is the Son of God, but he couldn't come down from the cross because he knew that's what God wanted him to do. God wanted him to die on the cross in our place. So as he was thinking about God and thinking about heaven, I thought we'd find a colour that goes with heaven. So I've chosen blue. You can choose whatever colour you've got that makes you think of heaven. So I'll add that to the top of my Lego tower. Now there are thieves on 2 crosses either side of Jesus, one on his right and one on his left. And they knew that they deserved to die because they had done bad things, but Jesus hadn't done anything wrong. But Jesus wasn't nasty to them, Jesus just forgave them. So we want a colour for forgiveness. So for me, white sounds like forgiveness. But I wanted to have something coming out one side for the thief on his right and something coming out the other side for the thief on his left. So I've chosen a long brick, a long white brick, so that's Jesus forgiving the thieves on each side of him while they're all on the crosses. And then at noon, at 12 o'clock in the middle of the day, it goes dark for 3 hours. So we need a colour for darkness. So I've chosen black to be my colour for darkness. I'm going to add that onto my tower. Not only does it go dark, but there's an earthquake and the temple curtain is ripped in two from top to bottom. Now the temple curtain was very beautiful. It was red and blue and purple. So if you're colouring in, you might want to colour the next brick in red and blue and purple. But if you're using bricks, you'll have to choose one of those colours. So I'm choosing red. Maybe if you had very small bricks, you could put red and blue and purple on there. So that's the temple curtain being torn in two from the top to the bottom while it's dark for 3 hours. And then at 3 o'clock, Jesus feels the weight of the sin of all of us on his shoulders, and he feels separated from God. And he says, my God, why have you forsaken me? And then he says, it is finished. His work is finished, and he dies. So we need a colour for death, colour for the sadness of Jesus dying. So I've chosen black again, but you can choose whatever colour you think is sad. So can you see what shape we've made? We thought it was going to be a tower of bricks, but look, it's become the shape of a cross. So all of those colours can remind us of what happened on Good Friday. After Jesus died, he was taken down from the cross and he was buried in a tomb. And we need to come back on Easter Day to hear what happened next. So I've done a few of these. This is my Lego one. I've done one with Duplo as well. I didn't have so many colours with the Duplo, so I had to do the darkness and the death in green, which was the darkest colour I had. And I had to use this little piece for the brown of the cross because I didn't have a square brick that was brown, but it still is the same idea. And then this is the one I coloured in. So the fire and the water and the cross and the blood. Jesus clothes heaven. Forgiveness. So we've got the thieves to the right and the left. The darkness. And there's the three colours of the temple curtain. And Jesus dying. And I did one more with coloured paper that I cut out and stuck on. So that's the colours of Good Friday. I hope you've managed to do that yourself. Happy Easter.